The sky of Varine glowed red as fires spread across the capital city. Thick smoke rose into the air while broken towers collapsed one after another. The people of Varine, once proud and strong, now ran through the streets in fear. The enemy known as the Gralith had come, and they showed no mercy. Their sharp metal machines rolled through the city, firing energy blasts that shattered walls and burned everything they touched. From the highest balcony of the royal fortress, Queen Sarai watched her world fall apart. Her silver crown was cracked and her blue robes were torn from battle. Behind her stood what remained of her royal guard, only a handful of tired warriors. They had fought for many days without rest, but the Gralith army seemed endless. For every enemy they defeated, 10 more appeared. Sarai gripped the railing and closed her eyes for a moment. She could still remember how beautiful her capital had been before the invasion. Shining crystal towers, peaceful gardens, and bright lights that never went out. Now those towers were rubble and the gardens were burned to ash. A young warrior named Rin ran up the steps to her side. His armor was dented and his face was smeared with dirt. "Your Majesty," he said, breathing heavily. "The outer wall has fallen. The enemy is pushing into the inner district. If we do not retreat now, they will surround us." Sarai's heart sank. "How many soldiers remain in the Eastern Battalion?" she asked. Rin lowered his head. "Less than 50, and most are wounded." The Queen's throat tightened. Once her army had numbered in the thousands. They were skilled fighters who had protected Varine for generations. Now they were almost gone. Another guard, older and scarred, stepped forward. "We cannot hold this city any longer, my queen," he said. "We must leave before it is too late." Sarai turned to face her warriors. Their faces were full of pain and exhaustion, but their eyes still burned with loyalty. She could not abandon them, yet she knew they could not win this war alone. "We have no allies," Sarai whispered. "The other kingdoms turned away when we asked for help. They feared the Gralith just as we did. They will not come." Rin clenched his fists. "Then what are we to do? Fight until we are all gone?" The Queen's mind raced. There was one last thing they had not tried. One last hope. High above the fortress there was an ancient communication tower that could send a message across the stars. It had not been used in hundreds of years, but perhaps it still worked. Sarai lifted her chin. "Prepare the tower. I will send a plea for aid to anyone who can hear it." The warriors exchanged uneasy looks. The older guard frowned. "Your Majesty, no one will answer. Other worlds do not care about us. You will only waste time." "Perhaps," Sarai said softly. "But if we do nothing, our people will surely perish. I will not let Varine vanish without trying everything." The warriors bowed their heads in respect. Even in despair, their queen's courage gave them strength. Moments later, Sarai stood inside the communication chamber. The walls hummed with energy as ancient machines powered up. Dust fell from the ceiling as the massive dish above the tower began to turn. Sarai stepped forward and placed her hand on the glowing control panel. Her reflection stared back at her, a leader who looked older than her years, a queen burdened by endless war. She took a deep breath and began to speak. "This is Sarai, Queen of Varine," she said, her voice steady though her heart trembled. "My world is under attack by the Gralith, a ruthless enemy that destroys everything in its path. Our cities burn and our people suffer. We have fought bravely, but we are nearly defeated. If there is anyone who can hear this message, I beg you to help us. We will stand beside you as allies. Please do not let my people be erased." Her words echoed through the chamber. A small screen lit up, showing the message being transmitted into space. It traveled far beyond their planet, into the cold darkness between the stars. When the transmission ended, silence filled the room. Sarai's shoulders slumped. She had done all she could. Rin stepped forward. "Your Majesty, even if someone heard, they may not come. Why would they risk themselves for strangers?" Sarai gave him a sad smile. "I do not know, Rin, perhaps they will not. But sometimes hope is all we have left." Suddenly, a loud explosion shook the fortress. The walls trembled and dust rained from above. One of the guards shouted, "The enemy has breached the gate." Sarai's calm expression hardened into determination. "We must hold them back for as long as we can," she commanded. "If help does not come, we will still fight with every breath." Her warriors roared in agreement, though their voices were weary. They rushed to defend the last gate, leaving Sarai alone in the chamber for a brief moment. She sank to her knees, her hands trembling. She whispered to herself, "Please, someone hear us." Far away, across the vast reaches of space, A small human exploration ship drifted quietly through the void. The ship was old and simple, built for research rather than battle. Inside, a man named Tom sat at the control panel, adjusting settings while his AI companion Nira monitored the systems. Tom was a curious explorer, always seeking new worlds to study. He had never been part of a war or faced great danger. To him, space was full of wonder, not fear. As he checked the navigation readings, a faint signal appeared on the screen. The device beeped softly, showing a strange pattern of symbols. Tom frowned. "Nira, what is that?" The AI's calm voice replied. "It appears to be a distress signal, Tom. The origin point is very far from our current position." Tom leaned closer as the message translated into his language. His eyes widened as he heard Sarai's desperate plea. Her voice was filled with pain and courage, describing the destruction of her world. For a moment, Tom sat in silence. He had never heard anything like it. Nira spoke again. "The signal is weak and old. There is no guarantee anyone else has received it. I advise ignoring it. We have our own mission to focus on." Tom shook his head slowly. "Ignore it?" "Nira, she sounded like her people are on the edge of extinction." "That is not our concern," the AI replied logically. "Humans have no alliances in that region of space. Interfering could bring danger to you and to our species." Tom stared at the stars outside the window. He thought of his own planet, Earth, and how vulnerable it had been during past crises. If no one had come to help them, then would they even be alive now? "I cannot just sit here and do nothing," Tom said firmly. "If we turn away, we're no better than those who ignored them before." Nira hesitated. "Even if you went, you are only one ship. The Gralith sound like a vast military force. You would not stand a chance." "Maybe not," Tom admitted, "but maybe I can make a difference. Even a small one. And sometimes one act of courage is enough to inspire others." He set a new course into the navigation system. The ship's engines roared to life, changing direction toward the distant world of Varine. As the stars stretched into streaks of light, Nira spoke with a note of concern. "Tom, this decision is highly dangerous. You may not return." Tom tightened his grip on the controls. "I know, but someone out there asked for help and I'm going to answer." Back on Varine, Sarai stood on the fortress walls, watching as the Gralith army gathered for a final assault. Her people were ready to fight to the last. She did not know that far away, a lone human had heard her call and was coming. For now, Varine's fate hung in the balance, caught between despair and the faint spark of hope traveling toward them through the endless darkness of space. The stars stretched into glowing lines as Tom's ship raced through hyperspace. The soft hum of the engines filled the cabin, steady and calm, but Tom's heart beat fast. He stared at the navigation screen, watching as the distance to Varine slowly decreased. Nira's voice broke the silence. "Tom," the AI said gently, "I must remind you of the risk you are taking. Varine's situation, based on the distress signal, is dire. You are one man in a single ship. Even with your skills, the chance of success is very low." Tom did not look away from the screen. "I know the odds, Nira, but if I ignore that message, their world will fall. I couldn't live with myself if I turned away." Nira paused as if calculating the right words. "The logical action would be to alert the human fleet. They could send reinforcements." Tom shook his head firmly. "By the time the fleet debates and decides, Varine will already be gone. Bureaucracy moves too slowly. I don't have time to wait for orders." He leaned back in his chair and closed his eyes for a moment. Images from his past filled his mind. His hometown destroyed by a storm when he was a boy. His family had begged nearby cities for help, but no one came. They were left to rebuild on their own. Tom opened his eyes, determination burning in them. "I swore then that if I ever had the power to help others, I would do it, even if I stood alone." Nira's tone softened. "Your compassion is admirable, Tom, but compassion does not guarantee victory." "Maybe not," Tom admitted, "but it's a start. And sometimes all a dying world needs is one spark of hope." The Queen's despair far away on Varine, Queen Sarai stood atop the shattered walls of her fortress. The night sky was blackened with smoke from burning cities. Her army was scattered and wounded. The Gralith campfires glowed like a sea of red in the distance, a cruel reminder of how vast their forces were. Rin approached her, limping from an earlier battle. "My queen, scouts report that the enemy is preparing a final assault at dawn. We may not survive the next attack." Sarai's face remained calm, though her heart was heavy. Then we will fight until the last breath. Our ancestors would expect no less. Rin bowed, his voice filled with sorrow. I only wish we had allies. Someone to stand with us. Sarai gazed at the stars above, her mind on the message she had sent. She wondered if it had even reached anyone, or if it had simply been lost in the vast emptiness of space. Perhaps no one heard us, she whispered. Or perhaps they heard and chose not to come. Approaching Vareen back in his ship, Tom's sensors began to detect Vareen's star system. A small planet came into view, scarred by battle. Orbiting debris floated like ghosts of destroyed ships. Tom's jaw tightened as he scanned the planet. Nira, I'm seeing heavy enemy movement on the surface. This looks worse than I expected. Indeed, Nira replied. My scans detect thousands of Greylith soldiers and war machines. Their technology is advanced and heavily armored. Tom adjusted the controls. We'll need to approach carefully. I can't risk them detecting us before I make contact with the Queen. As the ship descended through the atmosphere, Tom saw the devastation below, burned forests, ruined cities and rivers clogged with rubble. His hands gripped the controls tightly. Whoever these Greylith are, he muttered. They didn't just want to win. They wanted to erase this world. The first meeting in the fortress, Sarai's warriors spotted Tom's ship cutting through the smoke-filled sky. Alarm bells rang immediately. It's another enemy craft, one guard shouted, raising his weapon. Rin's eyes widened. No, the design is different. I've never seen anything like it. Sarai's heart pounded. Could this be the answer to her plea? She lifted her hand. Hold your fire. Let it land. The strange ship landed in the courtyard with a hiss of steam. Sarai and her guards surrounded it, weapons ready but aimed low. The hatch opened and Tom stepped out slowly. He wore a simple flight suit, his hands raised to show he meant no harm. Queen Sarai, he said through a translator device on his chest. I received your message. I came to help. The warriors gasped. Many murmured angrily, suspicious of this strange newcomer. Rin stepped forward. He could be a spy sent by the Gralith to trick us. Sarai studied Tom closely. His face was tired but determined, his eyes filled with genuine concern. She sensed no deception. Who are you? She asked firmly. My name is Tom, he replied. I come from a distant world called Earth. I travel alone, but I have technology and skills that may aid you. The older guard sneered. One man cannot save us. This is hopeless. Tom's lips curved into a small, confident smile. Sometimes one person can change everything. Give me a chance to prove myself. Before Sarai could respond, a loud horn sounded outside the fortress. Scouts rushed in, shouting in panic. The Gralith are attacking early. They are moving toward the eastern gate. Chaos erupted. Warriors scrambled to their positions. Rin turned to Sarai. My queen, we must prepare now. Sarai looked at Tom. If you wish to prove yourself, now is the time. Tom nodded and ran toward his ship. I'll handle their forward scouts. Focus your forces on defending the gate. Proving his worth. The Gralith scouting party advanced quickly, their armored vehicles crushing the ground beneath them. They did not expect resistance so close to the fortress. From above, Tom's ship swooped down like a hawk. He activated the targeting systems and fired 2 precise blasts. The enemy vehicles exploded in a burst of fire and smoke. Gralith soldiers scattered in confusion, shouting orders to regroup. Tom's ship looped around and struck again, disabling their communications. Inside the fortress, Sarai and her warriors watched in awe. Rin's jaw dropped. He destroyed them in seconds. The older guard, once doubtful, whispered, Perhaps this human truly can help us. Tom landed near the gate and jumped out, breathing hard. That was just a scouting group. The main army will be here soon. We need to strengthen your defenses. Sarai stepped forward, her eyes shining with new hope. You have proven yourself, Tom of Earth. I will trust you. Together we will stand against the Gralith. A new alliance as the night wore on. Tom worked alongside Sarai's warriors, teaching them strategies they had never used before. He showed them how to combine their weapons with his technology to create stronger defenses. Sarai watched him closely. She was amazed by his calm focus even under pressure. Though he was only one man, he carried himself like an army. At one point, as they reviewed maps of the battlefield, Sarai spoke softly. Why did you come, Tom? You risk your life for a people you do not know. Tom paused, meeting her gaze. Because I know what it feels like to be abandoned. I couldn't let that happen to you. Sarai's expression softened. Many turned their backs on us. But you came. For that, you have my gratitude. The looming threat just before dawn, scouts returned with grim news. The main Gralith force is moving, a warrior reported. They number in the thousands. Their war machines are larger than our towers. Fear spread through the room. Even with Tom's help, the numbers seemed overwhelming. Tom clenched his fists. We'll hold them off. If we can break their first wave, we might have a chance. Rin nodded, though his face was pale. We will fight beside you, human. Sarai placed her hand on the table. This is our last stand. If we fall here, Vereen falls forever. As the warriors prepared for battle, Tom returned to his ship to check his weapons. Nira's voice came over the intercom. Tom, the enemy force is vast. This battle may be unwinnable. Tom smiled grimly. Maybe, but I didn't come here to win easily. I came here to give them hope. Ending of Part 2A. As the sun rose, the ground shook under the march of the Gralith army. Their banners darkened the horizon and their machines roared like thunder. Sarai stood beside Tom on the fortress wall. For the first time in many nights, there was determination in her eyes instead of despair. You answered our call when no one else would, she said quietly. No matter what happens today, Vereen will remember your courage. Tom gripped his controls, ready to launch into battle. We're not done yet, Queen Sarai. Let's show them what happens when even one human decides to fight. The horns of war sounded. The final battle for Vereen was about to begin. The morning sun rose over the smoldering city of Vereen, casting long shadows across the broken streets. Smoke curled into the sky from burned buildings and the air smelled of ash and metal. The Gralith army advanced steadily, their massive war machines clanking against the ground. Thousands of alien soldiers marched in perfect formation, their weapons glinting in the light. From the fortress walls, Queen Sarai surveyed the battlefield. Her blue eyes were sharp and focused. Beside her stood Tom, his hands resting lightly on the controls of a small command drone he had brought. Both leaders understood the gravity of the situation. This was the moment when Vereen would either survive or be lost forever. Prepare the gates, Sarai ordered. Position our best fighters at the choke points. The Gralith may be strong, but we know our land. We can use it to our advantage. Rin, one of her loyal warriors, ran past with orders. Archers to the northern wall. Shield units to the main gate. All energy barriers activated. Tom knelt beside his drone, studying the enemy formations from above. The Gralith are moving faster than I predicted. If we don't strike first, their machines will break through our outer defenses within minutes. We need a preemptive strike. Sarai glanced at him. You want to attack before they reach us? Yes, Tom said, but carefully. My drone can disable their front line, giving your army time to set traps and strengthen positions. Sarai nodded. Do it, we trust you, Tom. The first strike Tom sent the drone soaring over the battlefield. Its small body moved quickly, avoiding the Gralith sensors. With precision, it targeted supply vehicles and communication towers. Explosions erupted among the enemy lines and confusion spread like wildfire. Gralith commanders shouted orders, trying to reorganize their troops, but the sudden disruption caused delays. Soldiers tripped over obstacles and machines collided with one another. For a brief moment, Vereen's defenders felt a glimmer of hope. Sarai's warriors took advantage immediately. They charged forward using high-energy nets to disable enemy vehicles. Her soldiers, inspired by Tom's actions, moved with speed and coordination, hitting weak points in the Gralith formation. Rin called out from the wall. Queen Sarai, their scouts are retreating. This is our chance. Sarai raised her voice to the army. Forward. Protect our city and our people. Today we fight for Vereen. A roar of determination echoed from the fortress walls. Warriors, both human-trained and alien-born, surged forward, their weapons blazing. Tom joins the battle. Seeing the chaos from above, Tom landed his small ship near the main gate. He climbed down quickly, drawing a compact energy rifle he had modified for the alien battlefield. Soldiers paused as they saw him among them. Follow my lead, Tom shouted. The Gralith advanced, their mechanical legs shaking the ground. Their weapons fired deadly energy beams, but Tom's precise shots disabled several machines before they could cause serious damage. The humans and aliens around him were inspired. They pushed forward, taking back small sections of the city that had been lost. Sarai fought beside them, moving with grace and strength. Her sword glimmered as she struck down enemies, But she also guided her warriors, telling them where to strike, when to retreat, and how to protect civilians. Her leadership was the anchor that held Vereen together. Rin moved close to her, shouting over the noise. "Your Majesty, the eastern wall is under heavy attack. They are trying to flank us." Sarai's eyes narrowed. "Tom, can your drone cover that side?" "Yes," Tom replied. "It will create a diversion. That should give your warriors time to reinforce the wall." The drone zipped across the battlefield, creating smoke screens and small explosions. The Growlith were forced to split their forces, buying precious minutes for Vereen's defenders. Unexpected tactics despite their numerical advantage. The Growlith were unprepared for the combined human-alien strategy. Tom suggested using small squads to infiltrate behind enemy lines while Sarai coordinated the main attack from the walls. Rin led one squad, moving quietly through broken buildings and shattered streets. They disabled energy shields and sabotaged Growlith supply lines. Soldiers who had lost hope before began cheering as enemy machines failed one by one. Sarai watched the progress from her tower. She realized that this human, small as he was, had taught her army to think differently. They were no longer just defenders. They were fighters with strategy, intelligence, and courage. Tom joined a small group of archers on the wall. "Keep your distance, aim carefully, and wait for my signal," he instructed. The Growlith advanced again, and at Tom's command, arrows and energy bolts rained down, targeting weak points in their armor. A loud crash signaled another victory. A Growlith war machine had fallen, and the defenders cheered. Sarai allowed herself a small smile. The tide was slowly turning. A close call. During the chaos, a Growlith commander noticed Tom and focused fire on him. A massive energy beam shot toward his position. Tom dove behind a wall just in time. The beam exploded against the stone, sending shards flying. Rin ran over. "Tom, that was close. We cannot keep you in the front like this." Tom shook his head. "I'm fine. But we need to push them back further." Every second counts. Sarai appeared beside them, sword in hand. "Tom, focus on the big picture. We cannot lose you now. Lead the squads from a safer position." Tom nodded, understanding her concern. He activated a portable holomap, showing enemy positions. "We can split the forces. I will guide the squads remotely. This way I can control the battlefield without being in direct danger." The squads moved under his direction, setting traps and ambushing Growlith units. Every move weakened the enemy and strengthened Vereen's defenses. The Queen's strategy Sarai used this advantage to take the fight directly to the Growlith. Instead of waiting for them to reach the fortress, she led a group of elite warriors to attack key positions. The Queen's confidence inspired her soldiers. Rin followed closely, amazed at her skill. "Your Majesty, you are incredible. Your strength gives us hope we never thought we would have." Sarai did not respond with words. She focused on the battle, striking with precision and encouraging her warriors to press forward. Slowly, the Growlith retreated, unable to maintain their initial momentum. Tom monitored the battlefield, issuing instructions and predicting enemy movements. "The main force is pulling back. We have a chance to push them completely from the eastern district." Sarai turned to her warriors. "All units advance. Do not let them regroup." Victory at dawn hours passed, and the sun climbed higher. By midday, the Growlith had been pushed back from the fortress walls. Their machines were destroyed and their soldiers scattered. Vereen's army, though exhausted, stood victorious for the first time in days. Sarai surveyed the battlefield, pride and relief mixing in her expression. She turned to Tom, who was standing near the wall, breathing heavily but smiling. "You did it," she said. "Without your guidance, we would not have survived this morning." Tom shook his head. "We did it together. Your army fought bravely. I only showed a way to fight smarter." Rin stepped forward, wiping sweat from his brow. "Your Majesty, this human saved lives today. We owe him our thanks." Sarai nodded. "Indeed. Let this be the start of a new alliance. Together we are stronger than any enemy." A moment of reflection. As the dust settled, Sarai and Tom stood together on the fortress wall. The city below was scarred, but hope had returned. Fires still burned in some districts, but the sound of cheering warriors echoed through the streets. Sarai looked at Tom with gratitude. "I did not believe anyone would answer our call. I thought we were alone." Tom smiled gently. "Sometimes help comes from the most unexpected places. You called for it and I came. That is all." Sarai's eyes softened. "You are brave, Tom of Earth. Your courage gives my people strength." Tom shook his head. "I am no hero. I am just someone who could not stand by. Your people are the true heroes. I only helped them see it. A new understanding. The battle had ended, but Sarai knew the war was far from over. The Growlithe would return, and Vareen needed more than one human to survive the next attack. She turned to her army. Today, we fought not just for survival, but for hope. Remember this moment. Remember that even when the world seems lost, courage and unity can turn the tide. Tom observed quietly. He had taught them strategies and guided their forces, but the Queen's leadership had been the true difference. He realized that humans and aliens could learn from each other, combining strengths to face challenges no single species could handle alone. The sun rose higher, lighting the fortress and the city below. For the first time in many days, Vareen felt alive again. Though the enemy still threatened their world, the people had hope. And hope, as Tom knew, was a power no army could destroy. The sun had barely risen over Vareen when scouts reported the arrival of a massive Growlithe force. This army was larger than the one that had attacked before, with war machines taller than the fortress towers and soldiers trained in perfect coordination. The ground trembled under the approach of the enemy, sending clouds of dust into the sky. Queen Sarai stood on the highest balcony of the fortress, her silver-blue armor glinting in the sunlight. Her army, though battered from the previous fight, was ready to defend the city once again. Beside her, Tom reviewed the battlefield on a holomap, his face set in determination. "This is much larger than before," Tom said. "We cannot just defend. We have to act strategically or Vareen will fall." Sarai nodded. "Then we will combine your strategies with our strength. We fight not only with weapons but with intelligence and unity." Rin approached quickly. "Your Majesty, the Growlithe are using flying war machines. They will attack from above and from the sides simultaneously." Tom adjusted the holomap. "We need to split our forces. Shield units to the main gate, archers and energy squads to the side walls, and small strike teams to disrupt their flying machines. I can guide them remotely, coordinating every move." Sarai placed her hand on his shoulder. "Do what you must." "I trust your judgment, Tom. Preparation for battle." The fortress buzzed with activity. Warriors moved to their positions while Tom issued instructions to squads spread across the city. He had modified some human devices to detect incoming attacks and set automated traps that would slow the Growlithe's advance. Sarai moved through the ranks, her presence inspiring confidence. She spoke to her soldiers, reminding them of their courage and the importance of protecting their home. "Stand tall. Fight with your heart. Today we show the Growlithe that Vareen will not fall." The warriors shouted their agreement, raising their weapons and preparing for the attack. Above the battlefield, dark shapes appeared. The Growlithe flying machines glided in formation, dropping energy bombs and scanning for weak points. Their war cries echoed across the plains, and the ground shook under the massive ground units. Tom activated his devices. "We need to slow their advance. Deploy the smoke screens on the east side. Launch the energy traps along the main road. This will buy time for our warriors to set up defenses." Rin nodded and ran to execute the orders. "It is done," he shouted moments later. The ground shimmered with energy fields, and smoke filled the air as the first enemy units approached. The first wave, the Growlithe attacked fiercely. Flying machines swooped down, firing energy beams while ground troops pushed forward with terrifying force. The defenders met them with precise coordination. Archers and energy squads struck from the walls, hitting weak spots in the enemy machines. Tom directed the defense from a safe position on the wall. "Strike the left flank. Use the energy nets on the flying machines. Push the ground units back." Sarai charged forward with her elite warriors, cutting through Growlithe soldiers who had reached the gates. Her sword moved with grace and power, striking enemies with speed. The defenders' morale surged, inspired by her courage. Rin led a squad to disrupt the enemy's supply lines, destroying energy crates that powered Growlithe machines. Explosions shook the battlefield, scattering their soldiers and slowing their advance. The first wave was pushed back, but Tom knew this was only the beginning. The Growlithe commander would not give up easily. The second wave, after a short pause, a second wave arrived, larger and more organized. This time the Growlithe used heavier war machines, some carrying shields capable of deflecting energy attacks. Flying units carried groups of soldiers directly onto the walls, attempting to breach the fortress. Tom studied the formations. "We need a coordinated strike. I will lead the counterattack with the drone squads and small strike teams." Sarai, can you hold the walls with the main army? Sarai nodded. We are ready. Protect our people, Tom. Tom deployed the drones and guided them to intercept flying Growlith machines. The small strike teams moved quickly through the streets, attacking enemy units from behind and sabotaging their machines. The defenders on the walls worked tirelessly. Archers and energy squads focused on the flying soldiers, while shield units blocked the ground troops. Sarai moved from one position to another, directing her army and fighting alongside them. The battle raged across the city. Explosions lit the streets and the clash of weapons echoed through the air. Civilians had been moved to secure shelters, but the chaos of war was visible everywhere. Tom's bravery, during the fight, Tom spotted the Growlith commander leading a massive war machine toward the main gate. The machine's armor was thick, and its energy cannon could destroy an entire wall in seconds. This is the main threat, Tom said to himself. If I don't stop it, the fortress will fall. He quickly calculated a plan. Nira, I need a direct strike. We cannot destroy the machine from here. I will have to approach it myself. Nira hesitated. Tom, that is extremely dangerous. You may not survive. I have no choice, Tom replied. If we lose the gate, Vareen falls. I will do whatever it takes. Tom jumped into his ship and flew toward the enemy machine. Energy beams fired from the Growlith machines, but he dodged with skill, landing precise shots on weak points. Explosions erupted as the war machine faltered. Sarai watched from the wall. Tom, be careful, she shouted. With one final maneuver, Tom fired a concentrated blast into the machine's core. It exploded, sending fire and smoke into the air. Growlith soldiers scattered, confused and leaderless. The main wave of attack began to falter. Turning the tide, seeing the enemy commander destroyed, Sarai's army pressed forward. Warriors surged through the streets, reclaiming lost ground. Rin led a group to capture remaining enemy units, while Tom coordinated from above, guiding strike teams and drones to cut off retreating forces. The Growlith soldiers were strong, but without leadership and coordination, their numbers became less effective. Sarai's warriors, trained with Tom's guidance, moved with precision, taking advantage of enemy mistakes. Slowly, the Growlith began to retreat. Explosions marked their departure as they pulled back toward their territory. The city, though scarred, was safe for now. Sarai stood atop the walls, watching the enemy retreat. She breathed heavily, her armor dented and scorched, but her eyes shone with pride. We have held them back. Today, Vareen still stands. Tom landed near her, exiting his ship. You fought brilliantly, Queen Sarai. Your army is strong because of your leadership. Sarai shook her head. You brought us strategy and hope, Tom. Without you, we would not have survived this battle. Rin approached, smiling despite exhaustion. We have learned much today. Our enemies are strong, but so are we. A moment of peace after the battle, Sarai ordered her warriors to tend to the wounded and rebuild the defenses. Civilians began emerging cautiously from shelters, seeing that their home was still standing. Though the city was damaged, hope had returned. Tom walked through the streets, helping wherever he could. He checked energy barriers, repaired minor machinery, and encouraged the warriors. Nira hovered nearby, monitoring the systems and providing support. Sarai joined him. Tom, you risked so much today. You could have stayed safe, but you did not. That is rare among strangers. Tom smiled. I only did what I had to. Vareen is worth protecting. Your people fought bravely. I just helped them see their own strength. Sarai nodded, looking around at her people. Perhaps this is the beginning of a new era. If humans and Vareen can work together, we may have a chance to face the Growlith more effectively in the future. Tom agreed. Yes, but we cannot be complacent. The Growlith will return, and they will be stronger. We must prepare. Preparing for the future that evening, Sarai and Tom stood on the fortress balcony, overlooking the city. Fires still burned in some areas, but the streets were filled with activity as citizens and soldiers worked to restore what had been damaged. Sarai spoke softly, her voice carrying across the walls. I feared no one would answer our call. I feared we were alone. But today we have hope. Tom nodded. Hope is powerful. It can make people stronger than any weapon. Sarai's eyes shone with determination. We will rebuild. We will train. And when the Growlith return, we will be ready. Tom placed a hand on her shoulder. And I will stand with you, Queen Sarai. As long as I am able, Vareen will not face its enemies alone. For the first time in many days, the Queen felt a sense of peace. Though the war was not over, They had proven that courage, intelligence, and unity could defeat even the greatest odds. The night fell over Varine, calm and quiet for the first time since the invasion. But in the distance, Tom knew the Growlithe were regrouping. The next battle would come, but together, humans and Varine would face it without fear. The city of Varine had survived the first 2 attacks of the Growlithe, but the threat was far from over. From the fortress walls, Queen Sarai and Tom surveyed the rebuilding efforts. Soldiers repaired walls, citizens cleared debris, and energy barriers glowed with renewed power. The sun rose slowly over the horizon, painting the damaged city in warm light. "Varine is strong," Tom said quietly, watching a group of warriors train near the eastern gate. "But the Growlithe will return with even greater numbers. We need to be ready," Sarai nodded. "We will be ready. Today my people have hope, and hope is stronger than fear. We must strengthen our alliances and prepare every corner of the city for what is coming." Rin approached, carrying a hollow map of the surrounding lands. "Your Majesty, scouts report unusual movement near the northern border. It could be the Growlithe gathering a new army. We must act quickly if we want to stop them before they reach the city." Sarai studied the map. "We will not wait for them to attack. Tom, can your technology help us intercept them before they reach Varine?" Tom smiled. "Yes. I can use drones to track their movements and guide strike teams to slow them down. We can set traps along the way to weaken their forces before they get here." Sarai placed a hand on his shoulder. "Then we move forward together. Humans and Varine will face them as one." The journey beyond the walls, a small team of warriors, guided by Tom and Sarai, set out from the fortress toward the northern border. The soldiers carried both alien weapons and human equipment, blending the best of both worlds. Tom directed their movements using a portable hollow map, while Sarai led her warriors with confidence. As they approached the borderlands, signs of the Growlithe's preparation appeared. Towers of dark metal and glowing energy fields dotted the landscape, and scouts reported hundreds of enemy soldiers patrolling the area. "This is their main force," Tom said, scanning the terrain. "If we can disable their command center, we can scatter their army and delay the main attack." Sarai nodded. "Then we strike at their heart. We fight not only for Varine, but for every life they threaten." The warriors moved silently through broken forests and ruined fields. Tom's drones flew overhead, sending live information to the team. Using this intelligence, small squads struck Growlithe patrols and destroyed supply depots. A strategic victory, the Growlithe were caught off guard. They had expected a slow rebuilding of Varine's defenses, not a coordinated strike beyond the city. Tom's tactics, combined with Sarai's leadership, allowed the warriors to take down key enemy positions with minimal casualties. Rin led a group to sabotage energy towers, while Sarai and her elite warriors attacked the enemy command post. The battle was fierce, but careful planning and teamwork allowed them to succeed. Tom's voice crackled over the communicator. "We have disrupted their command network. Enemy units are confused and disorganized. Push forward and secure the area." By midday, the northern border was under Varine's control. The Growlithe army was forced to retreat and regroup. Sarai breathed deeply, feeling a sense of relief. "We have won this battle, but the war is not over. They will return stronger than before." Tom nodded. "Then we prepare for the final battle. Together we will defend Varine until no enemy remains." The final battle. The Growlithe returned within days, bringing an even larger army. Their war machines were advanced, their soldiers numerous, and their strategy well planned. The ground shook as they approached, and the air was filled with tension. From the fortress walls, Sarai addressed her army. "Today we face the Growlithe for the final time. We fight not only for Varine, but for our homes, our families, and the hope we carry. Stand together, fight with courage, and know that we are never alone." The soldiers cheered, raising their weapons high. Tom positioned his drones and strike teams, ready to lead them in the battle. When the Growlithe reached the city, the fight began. Explosions lit the streets as Varine's defenders met them with determination. Tom guided squads through strategic strikes, targeting enemy machines and communication hubs. Sarai fought at the forefront, her sword striking with precision and strength, inspiring her warriors to follow her lead. Rin moved alongside her, defending key points and encouraging soldiers. The human-alien alliance worked in perfect coordination, combining strategy, courage, and skill. Turning the tide, the Growlithe initially overwhelmed the defenders with sheer numbers. But as the battle progressed, their formation weakened under the coordinated strikes of Tom's teams and Sarai's warriors. Traps slowed enemy movements, drones targeted war machines, and Sarai's leadership inspired precision attacks. Seeing their forces falter, the Gralith commander attempted a desperate move, sending a massive war machine toward the fortress. Tom reacted immediately. "Sarai, I'll handle this. Cover the gates with your strongest fighters." Sarai nodded. "Be careful, Tom. We need you alive." Tom launched his ship, dodging energy blasts as he targeted weak points in the massive machine. With skill and precision, he fired a concentrated shot into its core. The war machine exploded in a brilliant fireball, scattering enemy forces. The defenders seized the moment. Sarai led a charge that broke the remaining Gralith lines. Soldiers pushed forward, reclaiming territory and forcing the enemy into retreat. Victory and unity. By sunset, the battlefield was quiet. The Gralith army had been defeated and driven from Varine. The city, though scarred, stood strong. Smoke rose from some areas, but the people were safe, and hope had returned fully. Sarai surveyed her city, her heart swelling with pride. She turned to Tom, who had landed near her. "We have done it," she said. "Varine is safe, and your courage saved us." Tom shook his head. "Your people fought bravely. I only helped guide them. The real victory belongs to Varine." Rin approached, smiling broadly. "Your Majesty, Tom, today we have learned something important. Together, humans and Varine are unstoppable. The Gralith will think twice before returning." Sarai nodded. "This is true. Today we have shown that courage, strategy, and unity can defeat even the strongest enemy." A lasting alliance. In the days that followed, Varine rebuilt. Walls were strengthened, energy barriers improved, and citizens returned to their homes. Tom helped train warriors, combining human tactics with Varine skills. The people of Varine now had new confidence and pride. Sarai called a council meeting. "We will not wait for danger to find us. We will prepare for the future and protect our world. And we will not be alone. Tom of Earth has proven that allies exist beyond our stars." Tom smiled. "I will always stand with Varine. We have shown that cooperation can overcome any challenge." The council agreed to form a permanent alliance with humans, exchanging knowledge, technology, and training. Varine would no longer face threats alone, and humans would gain friends among the stars. Hope rekindled on the fortress balcony. Sarai and Tom looked out over the city. Children played in the streets, warriors trained, and citizens rebuilt homes. Fires were small now, and the air was filled with the sounds of life rather than fear. Sarai spoke softly. "I never imagined anyone would answer our call. I thought Varine would be lost." Tom placed a hand on her shoulder. "Sometimes hope is all it takes. You reached out and I came. Together we made a difference," Sarai smiled. "Thanks to you and to my people, Varine has a future." Tom looked at the horizon. "And we will protect it. The Gralith may return, but we are ready. Humans and Varine side by side will not be defeated." Sarai nodded, feeling a warmth in her heart she had not felt in years. "Then let this be a new beginning. No one will ever stand alone again." The sun set over the city, painting the sky with gold and orange. Varine, though scarred by war, stood stronger than ever. Its people had survived, learned, and united. The Queen and her human ally had shown the universe that courage, unity, and hope could defeat even the greatest darkness. From that day on, the story of Queen Sarai and Tom of Earth became a legend. It was a tale of bravery, strategy, and trust, a story that reminded all worlds that even in the darkest times, help can arrive when it is needed most, and hope can always be rekindled. Varine's people looked to the stars with renewed confidence, knowing that no matter the enemy, they were never truly alone. And somewhere in the skies, Tom and his drones watched over the city, ready to answer the call whenever it came.